welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. It could be a very long edition as well. I am going to attempt for you a puzzle that has been requested about 20 times now over the last few days. We got another request in just a few moments ago, and I'm going to bite the bullet and have a go at this. I think I've got a sort of about a 2-hour window in my evening. And the puzzle is called Invisible Thermometers, and it's by none other than Nahileon. Now, I am a massive fan of Nahileon's puzzles. Just clearly a genius Sudoku constructor. But yeah, we've had recommendations to solve this from the few people who have managed to solve it, and lots of requests. I have read the rules. They are mad, absolutely mad. Anyway, this is what we're going to have a go at in a moment or two. And I don't have too much news for you today. I'm going to do a birthday. I'm going to do a 40th birthday indeed to Thomas over there in Germany. Happy 40th birthday. Your brother Martin wrote to us and said that you'd appreciate the shout out. And he only realised that the two of you watched Cracking the Cryptic when I think he received our first book from you as a present, and Martin told us that it would make his attempt to make you a chocolate cake, Thomas, even more special if we were to shout out your birthday. So happy birthday. We hope you have an absolutely brilliant day, the big 4-0, and I hope you are going to be able to watch this video, but that depends on my ability to solve this puzzle. Other than that, the only other thing to mention is, of course, the Planets Suite, which so many of you have been enjoying over on Patreon. This is our monthly reward for June. It is going down a storm, and it is proving easier than some of our recent hunts. So we're delighted to see some of the feedback on that one, and do check it out if you've not had a chance to have a look at it. Other than that, is there anything else to mention? I don't think so. So let's get on with Invisible Thermometers. Oh, I mean, you couldn't credit it. Can you hear that? That is Maverick. I've literally turned on the video 2 minutes 33 seconds ago, and already he's in the air, buzzing past my window. It is with incredible punctuality that he manages to do this. Anyway, I apologise if there's the rumbling of an aeroplane in the background. Is that a helicopter or a plane? I'm not sure, actually. Whatever, Maverick is clearly airborne. Now, let's read the rules of Invisible Thermometers and see what Nahileon has managed to concoct for us. These are they. Place the digits 1 to 8 once each in every row, column and region. So, okay, so you can see today, obviously with it being an 8 by 8, we don't have 3 by 3 boxes. We have we've got sort of a Loch Ness monster there, a pistol there, a rectangle. What's that one? That's sort of Joshua Tree-esque, maybe. And some other shapes as well. So we've got some shapes in the grid. We've got to put the digits 1 to 8 once each in the shapes. A digit in a cell with a circle must be odd. A digit in a cell with a square must be even. There are invisible thermometers in this grid. Every empty cell, brackets the 6 by 6 in the centre. Oh, I see, because they haven't got grey, or they haven't got grey circles or squares. So this 6 by 6, let's highlight it. This 6 by 6 here gets visited by one of those thermometers. Okay, every empty cell. Right, so every empty cell, so this entire green area is filled with thermometers. Digits on a thermometer increase from the bulb. Sorry, I should have read that better. Digits on the thermometer increase from the bulb on one end to the tip on the other end. So normal thermometers exist somehow. I don't know whether the perimeter can include thermometers. The thermometers are orthogonally connected and don't fork or overlap. A thermometer may have length 1 if its bulb and tip are in the same cell, and the difference between the bulb and the tip must be unique for each thermometer. Difference between the bulb and the tip must be unique for each thermometer. So let's just quickly draw a thermometer into the grid. So let's say that this is a thermometer. Then this cell would be the lowest digit on the thermometer. So that could be a 1 or a 2 or something like that. Then this would have to be higher. 3, 6, 7. 2, 3, 6, 7 would be a legitimate way to fill a thermometer in this puzzle. Yeah, okay, so we want to restart, don't we? We don't need the greenliness in the middle of the grid. Yeah, and what we're told is that the whole of the middle has to be thermometers. It doesn't say anything about the perimeter, so I don't know whether the thermometers go into the edge or not. Hopefully that will become clear. Anyway, do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video. This has 5 stars out of 5 for Logic Masters Germany, and it is apparently monstrous. So just be warned to allow plenty of time, which I have tried to allow myself, if you want to have a go at it. Anyway, the way to play, click the link under the video. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I am tempted to do something. No, okay. I am actually going to do shading to start with, because I've just noticed I can get the parity of those two. Now, typically what I do with parity shading is I use orange for odd digits, and that is because O and orange begin with the same letter. It's for no other reason than that. And also, that allows me to bluify the even digits, and the only reason we choose blue for even digits is apparently orange and blue are the best colours in our palette for people who suffer from colour blindness. So these should be the most distinct thing. Yeah, so if we come down to this box at the bottom here, I don't really know how I would describe this box. It looks a bit like a truck with 2 wheels. But anyway, or a steam engine. Yeah, that's a steam engine. 2 wheels and a funnel. You can see there's only 2 odd digits in it there, so they must both be odd. Let's see if we can pick off any other easy wins like that. Oh, yes, okay. What's that? That's odd. Because that digit, if we look at this region, don't have a good idea. No, I don't know what that is. But anyway, whatever that is, this cell is the 4th odd digit, so that must be odd. Otherwise we would have too many even digits in the digits 1 to 8. There are only 4 even digits, 2, 4, 6 and 8. This region here has got most of its odd digits already. So only one of those digits is odd, and there's a lot of evenness. Oh, I see. And if there's a lot of evenness, I see, I don't really see, but what's occurring to me there is that, no, well, I was trying to think about the thermometers, but you could have a 2, 4, 6, 8 thermometer, couldn't you? Okay. I mean, this is not how to start the puzzle, is it? We must have to think about the nature of the thermometers, because I'm not going to... I mean, the fact there's 2 odd digits and another odd digit there is not going to fill the middle of this grid. So it feels to me like it's this thing about the difference between the tip and the bulb being unique for each thermometer. That must in some way restrict what's going on in the centre. So the maximum difference you could have between a bulb and a tip is 7. If you had a thermometer that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the difference would be 7, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. Actually, the maths is a bit strange there. 765 is 28, isn't it? Yes, okay. All right. I understand this, actually, somewhat bizarrely. Yeah, so what I did in my head there was I said, okay, so the maximum difference is a 7, and then I said, okay, so we could have thermometers that went 765, or had differences of 765, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And that all adds up to 28. But then I was like, but so that seems to be suggesting the puzzle can't exist, because there are clearly 6 by 6 here. That's 36 white cells that we can only fill with 28 cells of thermometer. But I forgot that I'm looking at the difference between 1 and 8. So in order to construct a thermometer that has a difference of 7, you actually need 8 digits, don't you? And the triangular number for 8 is 36, i.e. what is 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1? Plus 1. Right, and that's why there's this line in the instructions about you can have a thermometer with length 1, because you actually need a thermometer with length 1. Right, the other thing is this tells us that the thermometers don't go into the perimeter, because in order to fill the 6 by 6 in the middle, we need to use every possible available thermometer cell, by which I mean there's in this white area, well, in the 6 by 6 area, so including this cell and this cell, in this whole 6 by 6 area, we are going to have to put a thermometer that contains all of the digits from 1 to 8, and that thermometer has a difference of 7, and that uses 8 cells. And then we're going to have a thermometer right. We're going to have a thermometer that has a difference of 6, which is going to be, and that's going to have steps of 1 along it, isn't it? Because it's either going to be a 1 to 7 thermometer or a 2 to 8 thermometer. And the reason it can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, for example, because that thermometer, the difference between its bulb and its tip would be 7 again, which we've already used up with the 1 to 8 thermometer. So there's a 1 to 8 thermometer. There's then either a 1 to 7 thermometer or a 2 to 8 thermometer. Now, and then there's a thermometer that has a difference of 5. Oh, this is going to get very complicated though, because that could be a 1 to 6, a 2 to 7, or a 3 to 8 thermometer, I think. Anyway, so we're going to step down in terms of thermometer lengths all the way until we get to the thermometer of length 1, which we do need. We do need a length 1 thermometer to give us our 36th cell in this middle section. Now, how on earth? Well, what we have learned now, we've learned some things. We've learned you can't put a thermometer cell in the edge. That's important. And we've learned that every thermometer we put in the puzzle steps up in units of 1, because we have to maximize the number of digits we can put in the middle, and that requires each thermometer to be incredibly efficient. So the only thermometer I know exists in this puzzle is a 1 to 8 thermometer. So I bet that's a 1 to 8 thermometer. I bet it just goes round in a circle in there somehow. Okay, well this is still impossible, I think. Sorry, I realise it doesn't make a very good video when I just stop talking, but I'm having the old a-haupt feeling here, that the feeling that I just don't really know what to do. Or sort of what to think about. I mean, let's just think about it backwards. So imagine I knew the parity of every cell in the grid, could I then, knowing what I know, fill the puzzle? When I know that there are... I think I'd still struggle to fill it then, because I don't know. Unless the arrangement of odds and evens was very strange, I don't think that it would be very easy to fill the puzzle. So I must have to understand something else about it, I think. Right, okay, so perhaps what I've got to do, right. Yeah, I see. Right, okay. This is fascinating, by the way. And let me say, for not the first time on this channel, how you have the idea to construct this sort of thing, Nahileon, I do not know. I do not know why you think this was possible, achievable. Like, it's completely and utterly monstrous. But I've had another thought about it, which is that I do know the exact count of the odds and the even digits in the 6 by 6 in the middle, don't I? Because in the whole puzzle there must be 32 odds and 32 evens, because it's an 8 by 8 grid. So it's got 64 cells, and between the numbers 1 and 8 there are half odd and half even. So it's 32 odds and 32 evens. But in the perimeter, I have got more evens than I've got odds, because I've got 16. I've got 16 evens, which is the most I can have, because I've got odds in the corners. So in the perimeter, what have we got? 20, I want to say 28. 8, 8, 6, 6. That's 28, isn't it? I've got 28. I've got 28 cells in the perimeter, of which 16 are even. So 12 are odd. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 12 are odd. Okay. So that means in the 6 by 6 in the middle, I should have, what was it? 30? No, 32. So I've got 16 evens in the middle and 20 odds, which might be why I'm seeing some odds here. So I've got 16 evens and 20 odds. So when I'm building my thermometers, I've got to have an imbalance in favour of oddness. Yeah, okay. I've got to have... Yeah, there's not just a 1 to 8 thermo in the middle. There are 4 8s in the middle of this grid. Because there are 4 8s in the perimeter of the grid. And there are 8 8s in the puzzle. So there are 4 8s in the middle of the grid. So four of the thermometers. So there are 8 thermometers, aren't there? There are 8. Yeah, there are 8 thermometers. And there are 4 8s on the 8 thermometers. There are 4 8s on the 8 thermometers. And there are I feel like what I'm being told is that those 4 thermometers that have an 8 as their high digit have an odd number as their low digit. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's because it feels to me like I've got to create imbalance between the thermometers. Is this right, though? How do you create... Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think this is right. So how do you create a situation where you have more odd digits on thermometers than even digits in the middle of this grid? Now, there are basically three types of thermometers, I think. There's a thermometer that has an odd and an even at either end of it. So say a 1, 2, 3, 4 thermometer. Now that has equal parity. That's got two odds and two even digits. So if a thermometer is of an even length, yeah, is that it? Maybe that's the simple way of understanding it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's simple. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Right. So if a thermometer has an even length, it has an equal number of odd and even digits on it. Now, how many thermometers are there in this puzzle of even length? And the answer is 4. Because if you think about it, we've worked out that we've got a thermometer of length 8, we've got a thermometer of length 7, a thermometer of length 6, length 5, length 4, all the way down to length 1. That's how we constructed our different, our maximum, minimum differences between the thermometers that we wanted. So 4 of those thermometers have even length. And those thermometers we have no choice about. They have the same number of odds and evens on them. So the 4 odd length thermometers have to account for the difference between the overall count of odd digits in the 6x6 in the middle and the overall count of even digits in the middle, which is a difference of 4 in favour of the odds. So on those thermometers, how do we imbalance it on those 4 odd thermometers? Well, the only way would be if we had an odd digit at one end of them and an odd digit at the other end. So if you had a 1, 2, 3 thermo, that clearly has 1 even digit on it, but it has 2 odds. So we can throw the parity out in favour of the odd digit on the odd length thermos only if they have odds at both ends. So they must have odds at both ends because we need to throw it out by 4 overall. Wow. So this means that... Just looking at the puzzle, actually, as I say this, I'm looking at the puzzle and it amuses me that all I've done is sit here and pontificate. I've not done anything in terms of digits at all, but I think we're getting somewhere because now, if there are 4 8s, those 8s are even digits at the end of thermos, so they must be at the end of even length thermos. From the logic that we've just done. So there must be a 2-cell thermo that is 8, 7. There must be a 4-cell thermo that is 8, 7, 6, 5. There must be a 6-cell thermo that is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And there must be a 8-length thermo that is the whole lot of digits. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, this is where it's going to get complicated. The odd-length thermos... Well, it is going to get complicated, but not for the length 7 thermo, which now cannot be a 2 to 8 thermo. It must be a 1 to 7 thermo. Now, what about the length 5 thermo? So that can no longer... Yeah, this is where it's going to get tricky. The length 5 thermo could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, hang on. If it's 8 again, am I not going to have... I think it has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thermo. Let me just mull this over for a moment. Sorry if this is completely clear to everybody. I think if I wasn't doing this on video, I would actually write out the numbers 1 to 8 in a line in order to think about this more clearly. There can only be 4 thermos that have 8s on them. That feels right. Then all of the odd length thermos have to have odd and odd at either end. So 1 to 5 is fine, 2 to 6 is not fine. 3 to 7, oh, 3 to 7. Oh, bother. I think in my brain I'd gone 3 to 8 because the difference between 8 and 3 is 5, but that's not how thermos work. Oh, bobbins. Okay, so 3 to 7 is a possible. So when we start to go down to shorter thermos, at the limit we're going to have a 1 length thermo, and that can have a 1, 3, 5 or 7 on the length 1 thermo. So the length 3 thermo could be 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, or 5, 6, 7, I think. So we don't know much about the odd length thermos. We know much more about the even length thermos. And now, even now, do we now know anything useful in terms of fixing this puzzle and how it works? I sort of cautiously think if I knew the parity of every cell in this grid, I might now be able to fill it. Is that true? It might be true. Because I would know that the four 8s in the grid. Oh, this is complicated. The 4 8s in the grid all have to join up to a 7. Is that, well, I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't, okay. I'm just wondering if I can do a similar trick with... I just need to think about something else. I'm actually going to put a digit in the grid. I could have 2 1s as a maximum in the perimeter. If I had 2 1s in the perimeter, there would be 6 1s in the middle of the grid. That feels impossible. That is impossible, isn't it? Because the 4 thermos that end in 8, only one of them has a 1 on it. So I can only have a maximum of 5 1s. Ah. So there are not 2 1s in the corners. And there are at least... So if there was... Okay, so if there was no 1 in a corner, there would be 4 1s in the middle. So there are... Oh, yeah, okay. I'm getting there slowly. So there are... This is just... I love this, by the way. This is so cool. There are now at least 4 1s on thermos. Now, one of those 1s is going to be taken on the 8 to 1 thermo, the 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thermo. So there are 3 other thermos that begin with a 1 out of the 4, and there could be 4, but there's 3 of the 4 other thermos have a 1 on them. Okay. That feels like it's sort of useful. But surely that's the same for 3s then. That logic must be just, I can just repeat that logic for 3s. So there are 4 thermos at least that have 3s on them. And of the even length thermos, yeah, the problem is there's the thermo that goes 8765433. There's that one, as well as the one that goes down to 1. So there's only 2 spare. So there are 2 other thermos, at least, that have to have 3 on them. Oh God, this is so complicated. I almost feel like I need a paper and pencil. So I've got, or maybe it's, no, it can't be 7s, can it? It can't be 7s because there's got to be an absolute boatload of 7s in the grid. In fact, I might be able to claim now there's a 7 in a corner, which is, I mean, it's not the most stupid deduction I've ever made in my life. Because the reason I think there must be a 7 in the corner is the following. Every 8 in the puzzle is linked to a 7 because the 8s are not capable of being the 1 length thermo. They're all even length thermos. So every 8, and there are 4 of them, needs a 7. So that's 4 7s. But there's also a thermo which is 1 to 7. That's a 5th 7. There could be other 7s as well, but if there are at least 5 7s in the middle of this grid, there can be no more than 3 7s in the perimeter, which means there's at least 1 thermo in 1 7 in a corner. There, I've said it. If there were 2 7s in corners, then I would be able to put 1 more 7. 1 more 7 only. So that could be the single cell thermo, which could have a 7 on it, or it could be the 76543 thermo, or it could be the 765 thermo. This is complicated. This is very, very complicated. Do we have to start trying to put things in the grid? I mean, that's just a terrifying thought to me. I don't think I can do it. I mean, how could we go about doing anything in the middle of this grid? I mean, this could be at the length 1 thermo. So it's not like I can say for sure that this has to be an even digit, because it must connect to this, because this could literally sit on its own. Is there some sort of... Actually, I haven't thought about that. Is there geometry going on here? Sort of the irregular nature of the grid. I mean, for example, I can see that those 4 squares are 2 odds and 2 evens. I mean, it's not brilliant, but that's because that's just sort of counting. These 2 rows obviously contain 2 sets of the digits 1 to 8. Well, that's 1 set of the digits 1 to 8 in the rectangle. So the rest of the row must contain another virtual set of the digits 1 to 8. And this is 2 odds and this is 2 evens. So this must be 2 odds and 2 evens. Yeah, I mean, there's tiny things like those 2 cells. They are the same digit, because this digit needs to appear in row 1 and it can't repeat in its region. Wow, I mean, what on earth am I meant to do here? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I am looking. I am trying to spot things. I'm just not doing it very well. I'm trying to use the law of leftovers to sort of, I mean, there are very marginal things I can see. If we draw a line across the grid here, you can see that sticking out below that line is this domino and this cell here. So that's 2 odds and a something. Now, by the law of leftovers, those digits that we've just highlighted, those 3 digits, have to be the same 3 digits as those cells. Now, if you're not familiar with the law of leftovers, I'll just prove that to you once. How shall I do that? I might actually just duplicate the grid, actually. And reset it. And let me just show you why. So the way to understand the law of leftovers is to note that oh, hang on. We can exactly describe those digits. Those digits are exactly equal to 3 sets of the digits 1 to 8. I think we can all agree that. That's 3 complete rows. Now, how could we describe those yellow cells that I've just highlighted? Well, hopefully you would say that's 3 sets of the digits 1 to 8, Simon, because you've just highlighted 3 complete regions. You're quite right, that's exactly what I did. So you can see that several of these cells have 2 colours in them. So this digit is in both sets, if you like. This digit is in both sets. So we can take out all the common digits there, think of Scrabble tiles, and we get left with this situation. Well, these cells have to be the exact same digits as those cells in order to preserve the balance in the force, to make sure that everything is evened out, if you like. So let's go back to the puzzle. What we're learning there is that these 3 cells include 2 odd digits and possibly 3 odd digits if this was also odd. So at least 2 odd digits here. I'm just going to write that in somehow. How can I write that in? 2, and then I could write an O. 2 odds, 1 unknown. I don't know how to say 1 unknown. I'm just going to leave 2O there so I know that there's 2 odds there. Yeah, okay, let's... Right, yeah, I have got something. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that trick there. Now, if you look carefully, look on the right-hand side of this line. You can see sticking out on the right-hand side are these 3 squares. And then if we take the regions that don't involve these 3 cells and look on the left-hand side of the line, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3. So these circles have to equate with each other. And you can see on the left-hand side of the circles, or left-hand side of the line, I've definitely got 2 even digits. Now, if I was to put 2 even digits into those squares, these 3 squares couldn't have 2 odd digits in them. So I think that's telling me this digit is even. It's telling me one of these squares is even and one of these squares is odd. I'm going to make them purple then, they're 1 of each. But because we know there are 2 odds overall in there, that digit is odd. And, right, and we've got to go back. I've got to remember, what did I do to create this 2 oddness? That was looking at these squares and this square. So that square now must be even because I know one of those is even. So this square here gets blued. Okay, so what I hadn't thought was possible is that we can do a bit more parity shading than I'd appreciated. So let's keep going with this. Now, do I know the colour of this? I think that's odd, because we've got the equation of these three, which are two odds and a something, with these, sorry, two evens and a something, with these, which are two evens and an odd. Yeah, so that has to be odd in order to balance the force. Right, now what's this doing? And are there any other ways that I can divide this grid and keep this sort of thing going? Okay, so in the Loch Ness Monster now, I've got I've got one even here, and I've got two evens here, so that's three evens. So there's only one even in these, and two odds. Right, what's the most restricted digit from the logic we did before when we were trying to identify the thermos? The 8s have to connect to something. The odd digits don't, because the odd digits could be a single cell thermo. So I think the even digits are more interesting. Yeah, so maybe I've got to be careful with how they're arranged in here. Yeah, or maybe I've got to think about it a bit differently. In terms of thermometer ends. Yeah, okay, sorry, this is a different way of thinking about the 8s point. There are actually in this puzzle only 4 thermometer, either bulb or ends, that are even. I think. So that means any even cell. Yeah, so any even cell in... This is right, I think. Any even cell in the puzzle that is not an 8 has to have an entry and has to connect by thermo with 2 odd digits. That's quite interesting. Yes, don't bump into me at parties. Oh, the conversations I could lead you in. Oh, the insomnia I could get rid of. Right, so I can only, alright, so I can't have too many 8s in the, right, so I've got 2 even digits here. One, 2, I've got to put 2 even digits. If I make both of those even, is that fine or not? That doesn't feel fine, because both of these have the same problem. Yeah, this doesn't work. This doesn't work, because both of these cells have the same problem, which is that they can only escape through one odd digit. This one can escape here, and this one can escape here. Now, we can only have one escape for the digit 8. So if I made this an 8, say, let's make it an 8. This is fine. This can escape through a 7, and it's happy. But this can't be an 8 now, so it's some other even digit, which cannot be at the end of a thermo. So it needs to see 2 odd digits on thermos, and it just doesn't. So that's lovely, because that means if this isn't 2 evens, that is even. And that presumably now is the same by symmetry. If I make this even and this odd, I've got exactly the same problem. So in fact, that is even and that is odd. And now Brain, you are so useless. Come on, I gave you the big intro and you let me down. I don't think that means anything, does it? Oh, bother. I'm sorry. I mean, well, here is a strange thought. If neither of these was an 8, don't I get a ring? Don't I get, rather than a thermo with a bulb and an end, don't I get a ring? This might be wrong. It might be wrong. But let's try and make this 6 and this 4, for example. The 6, because it's not an 8, it must have a 7 and a 5 connected with it. So these two would be 5 and 7 in some order. But this, because it's not an 8, must connect. Yeah, this just doesn't work, does it? Because this needs a 3 to connect with, and if we make this a 2, it needs a 1 and a 3. So yeah, so in fact, my first thought, which was this was going to make a ring of thermometer, was nonsense. It just doesn't work, because this has to have 2 very specific digits that this can't also be in a sequence with. Okay, right, now hang on though. I just want to check, if we do make one of these 8, does it still not work? I think it should work now, because one of these now can be a 7. Maybe this has to be a 6. Yes, it does. Okay, so if that's an 8, this would have to be a 6, because one of these is a 7, and the 6, or whatever you put here, has to connect in and out, because it can't be an 8. So it has to have 2 odd connections, one of which we know is a 7 to be consecutive with the 8. Right. So now we know one of these is an 8, we know one of these is a 6, we know one of these is a 7, and one of these is a 5, because the 6 needs to connect to a 5. Right, so these two squares are a 2-4 pair in this region. Right, and okay, so now I'm beginning to believe this puzzle might be solvable, because we have converted our knowledge of the central 6x6 into something that is allowing us to at least pencil mark digits. I mean, we haven't sniffed a digit, actually putting a digit in, but we have at least done something that is not totally and utterly inept. Now, how do we keep this going? Okay, I can keep this going, actually. I can keep this going, believe it or not, because, let me just delete that, because I think we've captured the knowledge with the purpling, and I'm about to disambiguate this purple, because that cell is a 2 or a 4, and therefore it's in the middle of a sequence of odd digits, which means those two have to be odd. I mean, that means that's even, because we know that was one of each. I'm pausing as I say that, but I think that I'm so sorry if this is totally obvious to you. And I think it might be more obvious to me if I wrote down what the thermos were. But I think it's right. Even length thermos have an 8 at one end and an odd number at the other. So any even number that is not 8 cannot be at a thermo. It's right. So this has to connect to 2 odd digits, and so does that, actually. So those two are both odd. Now I've got 4 odds in the Loch Ness Monster, and that cell is even. And one of these is a 2, which must be connected to a 1 and a 3. And one of them is a 4, which must be connected to a 3 and a 5. I've got a digit. I've got a digit, I think. Yes, I have got a digit. Because, right, let me just go through that logic again. So whichever one of these is 2 must be connected to 1 and 3 on its thermo. And whichever one is 4 must be connected to 3 and 5 on its thermo. That means that the panoply of digits, these 4 cells, consist of 2 3s, a 1 and a 5. Well, I can't put 2 3s in the Loch Ness Monster. So the only opportunity to repeat a digit within those 4 cells is there. That's got to be a 3. These squares have got to be 1, 3 and 5. That can't be 3, because otherwise with this thermo we've got... Oh, maybe I should draw thermos. That's a good idea. Let's use the pen tool and draw a thermo. There is a thermo going through there. There's some sort of thermo going through here, but I don't really know how to draw it. And, ooh, I've just seen... No, ooh... Yeah, okay. I hadn't realised this, but there is a thermo going through here. How does that thermo get out of there? The 5, wherever the 5 is in this sequence, it has to connect to a 4 to get out. Well, the 5 there obviously can't get out, that's in a corner, but the 5 there doesn't have a 4 connected with it. So this thermo is the 8765 thermo. It is a length 4 thermo, and nothing. I don't know what that means. Right, those digits are connected up. One of those is very clearly a 3. And okay, yeah, but now, yes. So now I'm going to go back to my law of leftovers. If you remember the law of leftovers that we did on those 3 digits. Those 3 digits were equal to those 3 digits. So that square is a 2 or a 4 and is equal to this square. So let's label that up. That's going to be B. So we've got A and B. Let's label that one. That's definitely different from this one. So that's C. Now, where was the other law of leftovers trick that we did? That was between those 3 cells. Yes, those 3 cells and these 3 cells. So this is a 2-4 pair. And this is that digit. So we need to label that digit. We're running into letters a lot now. So these are D. Can I differentiate these? Yes, that's now B. And that's now C, using the fact that this is B. Sorry, okay. I thought we were going to go on a merry old escapade then, but no, those 2 squares are a 6-8 pair, because these are a 2-4 pair. Come on, Simon. Keep going. Use your brain. How long have I had? 54 minutes. Well, that's not surprising at all. Okay. This region here, 3 in it has to possibly be in the corner. It's in one of two places. So that's 1, 5 or 7 in this corner. These are 1, 3 or 5. One of these is definitely a 3. Oh, here's a... right, there is a 3 in the corner in this puzzle then, because there must be a 3 in the rectangle somewhere. That's got all the digits in it. So neither of those two squares can be a 3, which means there must be a 3 in one of those two squares in column 8. Oh, yeah, well, yes, okay, and I could have seen that more simply by labelling up these squares. So one of these squares is D, because we know these two squares are the same as those two squares. So there is now a 3 in the corner, but there are possibly 2 3s in the corner. What does that mean for the overall count? If I know there's a 3 in the corner, then we've got at least 5 3s. Did we already know this? I'm losing the battle now, trying to keep track of these thermos, especially the odd thermos. There are at least, if there's a 3 in the corner, there's at least 5 3s on thermos. No, I don't think we did know this before. I don't think we did. Because if there's 5 3s, the even thermos take up 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's got 1 3 on it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 has got a second 3 on it, but that's it. So there are 3 3s now. On the other, there are at least 3 3s on the other thermos. At least 3 3s. So, and those thermos are the 1 to 7 thermo. Well, that's got a 3 on it. The length 5 thermo, which always has a 3 on it, because it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We learnt that earlier. So that's 2 3s. So then there's either a single 3 as the 1 cell thermo, or there's a 1, 2, 3, or there's a 3, 4, 5. That's just not helpful. Sorry, that's just not helpful. It's too ambiguous still. Oh dear. Right, okay, so think again. Think again, Simon. This is hard, isn't it? This is really very hard. There's a 7 in one of those two cells, because there's no 7 here. There must be 2 7s in these two rows, and there can only be 1 in the rectangle. So there's only a maximum of 1 7 now in the thingy. I know the thingy is not the most descriptive thing in the world, the perimeter. No, in the corners. There's only 1 7 as a maximum in the corners. There might be no 7s, but there's 1 7 as a maximum. And that means we've either got... Right, this is good. I've got a 7 in one of those two positions, for sure. Because I've remembered that we've got 4 8s. Well, each 8 on a thermo has a 7 on its thermo. That's 4 7s. And there's 1 7 on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thermo. So there have to be 5 7s on thermos. And therefore, there cannot be more. Or there cannot be... There's either 3 7s in the perimeter or 2 7s. Now we can't have 2 7s now because I can't put a 7 in either of those corners. So there must be a 7 in one of these two cells, which is quite cool. Ah, and that is a 7. Because there's a 1 I'm getting obsessed with madness when I could be doing Sudoku. No one will be terribly surprised by that. But look, there's a 1, 3, 5 triple, so that is a 7. Sorry, I didn't see it, obviously. Is that helpful? Well, it is helpful, actually. Because this thermo, this is a funny thermo here, so that's a 5. Oh, this is beautiful. Right, no, this is actually really helpful, because now in this column, where does the 5 go? The 5's got to go at the bottom. But if that's the 5, that's got to be a 7. Because it's got to be. And that makes that a 3. And I've done loads of digits. I've done loads of digits all of a sudden. Holy moly. This is not a 5. Whoa, 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 come on. What's this doing? Come on, Simon, you can do this. This is 1 or 5. Does that mean it's the same as D? It does, actually, by Sudoku, because D apparently is there in one of those two cells. So D is looking at that one, and D is looking at that one. So that is D. And that's D. So we've got loads of cells that are D now. So D in this box is in one of 4 places, and D is 1 or 5. 5 has appeared in a corner. Is that surprising to us? Probably not. I've got to think about that, because we didn't know that before. There is a 5 in a corner, so there are at least 5 5s on thermos. Now, well, that doesn't seem surprising at all. There's the 8765 thermo, which we've already found. That's 1. There's the 876543 thermo. There's the 87654321 thermo. That's 3 thermos. There's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thermo. That's 4 thermos. There's either the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thermo. That's 5 thermos. So actually it's going to be quite surprising if there aren't more 5s. How could there not be another 5 on a thermo? If there's no other 5, you'd have to have if there's no other 5, then you'd have to have, oh, I've lost count now, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got to have at least one more thermo with a 5 on it, but that could be the single cell thermo, or it could be 5, 6, 7 thermo, or 5, 4, 3 thermo, or probably some other thermo as well. Oh, this is still very hard. It's very, very difficult. There, I've said it. 5 is in one of those cells by Sudoku. It's actually quite good when I stop looking at the puzzle for a moment, because when I come back to it, I suddenly see things that I've not seen before. One of these is a 3. I think I knew that. Okay. I know the colour of this. That's even now. That's my phone buzzing. That's fine. That's an even digit, but I don't think we know. I don't think we know its size anyway. Maybe we do, but I don't think we do. These two cells, what are they? They are one of each. Okay, that's not helpful. It's more interesting then if that's which way round. If that's odd and that's even, then that would make that cell an 8. That would be huge. Wow. Because this cell couldn't get out through here. And it would need to, so it's only got one connection to an odd digit, and the only digit of that nature in the puzzle is 8. So that would be 8, 7 as a 2-cell thermo. And then that cell would be even, and that would have to have 2 connections. I don't know, that's very complicated, unsurprisingly. Wow. This, oh, I've got four evens in this column. That's odd. Do I know what this is? That would be terrific. It's not 7. It's 1 or 3 actually. By Sudoku, it sees 5 and it sees 7 in those two squares. So it's 1 or 3. So is it the same as that? Might be. Well, it is actually. No, it just is by Sudoku. Where does that digit go in this region at the bottom? It doesn't go there. It doesn't go. It's not a 1 or a 5. So those two are the same. That's not something we've known before, is it? I'm going to be going. Right? What letters am I up to? I've got. Where's my A gone? A's disappeared. Oh, A was underneath that cell. Okay, so I could relabel this one A. I think I'm going to get rid of the 3 in those two squares. I'm going to label those A. Now, is there any more? Can we do any more propagation of A anywhere? So A must be in one of those cells. A must be in one of those cells. That's probably worth notating. A is in one of these cells. A is in one of those cells. I'd love to know if we could tell where A went in the top row, for example. One of these two is A, because these two digits, remember we worked out that they couldn't go there, or there would be too many of them in these two rows. So these two digits go in those two squares, one of which is A, the other is this digit, which I haven't labelled yet, but of course that means I should. So let's label this E. So these two squares are an AE pair. I don't know if that's a wise pencil mark at all. Possibly not. Wow, okay. I mean, it's really not giving up much, is it? I mean, it's quite remarkable to me that we've got this far. But unfortunately, I think I'm still quite a long way away from understanding this. Is there some... okay. So I know one of these cells is a 3. So in the corners of the grid, we now have got a 3, 5 and a 7. And the other digit that's going to go in a corner is either a 1 or a 5. So does that allow me to identify what the odd thermos are or not? So we've got 3, 5 and 7 for sure, which means that there are 5 thermos in the 6x6 that have those digits on. And then we've either got 5 thermos with a 1, if there's a 1 in one of these two squares. Or if we've got a 5 in one of these two squares, then we have to have, then we've got to have 6 digits, or 6 5s on thermos in the middle. Now, okay, I might need a notepad here, but I'm still gonna try and do it without that. Okay, so there isn't a second 7. Oh, that's big. That is big. Oh, this has been available for a while. If there's only 1 7 in the corners, and there is only 1 7 in the corners, then I know I've got all my thermos that have 7s on, because I've got the 4 that have 8s on, and the 1 that's the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 thermo. Right. So this is huge, because now the length 5 thermo is not 3 4 5 6 7. It's 1 2 3 4 5. Now also the length 3 thermo is not 5 6 7 now. So that's either 1 2 3 or 3 4 5. Which means it's got a 3 on it. Does that matter? Does that matter for anything? I don't know. Maybe that means that 3 is not the unique thermo, the length 1 thermo. And 7 is not the length 1 thermo, actually. Right, so let's just take stock. Let's just take stock of what we know, because this is complicated. Just frankly, it is complicated. I apologise again, but I am finding it complicated. So how many thermos now have got 1s on them? And the answer to that is, at the very least, there's the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, the 1 2 3 4 5, which has now come into being, so that's 3. And there must be at least one more, which could be the 1 2 3 thermo, or it could be the length 1 thermo. And how many thermos have got 5 on them now? There's the 8765431, 8765443, 87645, that's 3. There's the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, that's 4. There's the 1 2 3 4 5, that's 5. So there could be, that's 5. So that's 5 if there's no, so that's, we're done with 5s if there's no more 5s in the perimeter. But there could be one more 5 in the perimeter. If there was one, if we had 3 and 5 in the perimeter, we still wouldn't know what the 1 cell thermo was. I can't see how to tell whether it's a 1 2 3 thermo or a 3 4 5 thermo. Oh, maybe I have to think about the even digits, do I? Oh, I'm so stupid. I am so stupid. That's going to be it. How many 2s are there? Oh, I'm so sorry. I am just so embarrassed. I'm almost got to stop the video. I'm too stupid. Oh, God. Oh, Simon, you are just too stupid. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm mortified. Because how many 2s are there in the middle of the grid? There are 4. How do we get to a total of 4 thermos with 2s on them? Well, it's quite difficult, let me tell you that. There's going to be a thermo which the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's got a 2 on it. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's got a 2 on it. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's got a 2 on it. There's still got to be another 2. Where on earth do we get that from? Well, it's got to be a 1, 2, 3 thermo. There you go. That's the only option. Now, okay, so now there is a 1, 2, 3 thermo, which has given us our 4th 1 on a thermo. But we still don't know. We still don't know. No. So whether there's 3 in one of these and a 1 or a 5, and whatever it is, the 1 or the 5 in one of these determines what the single cell thermo is in the middle. Okay, but now, alright, but it's quite good this, because it's more memorable, because now I know that the thermos in the middle are a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they have an odd digit on them, or if they're the ones that start and end in odd numbers, I know 3 of those definitely have 1s, and possibly a 4th if there's a 1 in a corner. How has this helped me to solve the puzzle? I hear you, chorus. And the answer to that is I don't know. The answer to that is I don't know. But I'm feeling very bad. I'm feeling very bad that I've let you all down here. Oh dear, oh me. Dear, dear, dear. Oh, hang on. Right, what's that connected to? That is an even digit, which means it has to connect, and it's not an 8, so it has to connect on 2 sides. Well, here's a different way of thinking about this digit actually, which is rather cool. This digit has to connect to a 3, because it's either a 2 or a 4, and because it has to connect on both sides, it must connect to a 3. Where does it connect to a 3? It's not there because there's a 3 in the column, and it's not there because there's a 3 in that box already. So it does connect to that 3. There we go. So now those 2 can't connect, or we'd have a ring. So this, what's this thermo doing? It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, of course, it's got every... Oh, what's this one now? Well, this is an interesting being now, because this is connected to that. And I say that with some confidence. Let me just think about that for a second. It's either not an 8. If it's not an 8, it's got to have 2 connections, which means this would be odd and it will connect to this. Or it is an 8, in which it connects to a 7. And if it connects to a 7, it doesn't connect to a 7 there. There's already a 7 in the row. So this is connected. And that means this digit is a 6 or an 8. By the power of maths. It's got to be within 1 of it. So now there's a 6, 8 in this column. And oh, I suppose these are the digits. Look, I've not labelled these 6s and 8s over here, so we can do that, and we might be able to go a bit further over there. So how should we do it? We'll label this one. I'm up to F now. So that can be F, that can be G. So that's G. So that's G, and that's F. There we go. Has that helped? No, I hear you all, chorus. And you could be right. F is in one of those 2 cells by the power of Sudoku. Because in the Loch Ness Monster, it's not that one. It's not that one. Okay, well that one... Oh, no, that one's B. Look at that. Because I've got this one as high, that one's got to be a 2 or a 4, and it's not C, so it must be that one, which is B. So we get 2, 4 here, and we get to label a B in the corner. Now... this is gorgeous. Where's B in my steam train at the bottom? B is not there, and B is not there. So that's B. Now, where's B in this one over here? And the answer is not there. So that one, B is in one of two. It's over there. Now B is a 2 or a 4. So this square is a 2 or a 4. If I put it in like that, it'll be quicker. So now that cell, which I don't have a clue about the value of it, is that cell, isn't it? Because it's got to appear in the steam train, and it's not in those two squares. So those two squares are the same. I'm going to use a colour that time, because I don't think I know with any reasonable degree of certainty. I suppose I do know this is not B or G, so it is C or F. Let's actually put that in, C or F. That's C or F. And it transposes itself down here. So now G, which is the other one of this little congregation, is in one of those two. Do I know which one? It would be lovely to know which one, wouldn't it? Oh, no, that's not true. Don't put things in the puzzle that are not true, you silly man. C and G are not there. I can put one of C and G here, so this is C or G. I'm going to put that in. I think I'm getting bogged down here, though. It's getting very complicated with a combination of colours and letters, and side letters and central letters. Okay. Sorry, I'm sure this is obvious to some of you, but this is not obvious to me. It's not very clear at all how I'm meant to. Can I get the order of this? Thing is, if that's even now, if that's even, can't connect there, and it can't connect there, and it can't. Oh, I was about to say it can't get to a 7, but it could. Oh, it couldn't. If that's even, it's got to be a 2 or a 4, doesn't it? Which is a little bit interesting. Well, actually, hang on. How could that be? Yeah, that's in. Okay, let me just mull that over for a second. I'm just thinking about whether this could be even and this could be odd, because we know this is one of each. Now, in this situation, this has to be a 2 or a 4. And because it can't be 6 or 8. In fact, we could say it would be C. It would be C. But this now would have, this would make this odd. One of these would be a 3, which would be this one, which would make this a 3, and this a 3. Oh, please. No, oh no, that's mean. That's really mean. I saw this and thought I've done it, but no, I haven't done it because I've got A in 2 places here. I'll need to think again. I think I better think it out again. I'm reviewing the situation. I'm a wrong and a wrong and I shall stay. Situation. But it's wrong to be a rogue in every way. So, a job I'm getting possibly. I wonder who my boss will be. I wonder if he'll take to me, what bonuses he'll make to me. I'll start at 8 and finish late at overtime and overrate. I think I better think it out again. I think I better think. Okay, let's go again. Right, so if this is a 3, that's a 3. That's a 3. That then couldn't be a 3, so I get a 3 in the corner here. So A becomes 3 at this point. Is that a problem? I just don't know. I mean, it's very complicated and I don't know the answer. I think by the looks of things, that would be a 3. That's the only place for 3 in the top row. If this is a 3. It's getting very difficult to put a 3 into the revolver, isn't it? That would have to be a 3. But this, unfortunately, how many 3s have I now managed to place if I do this? And the answer looks to be I've got a 3 in every single row, and they all seem to be disposed in rather sensible positions. It would force that to be the single cell thermo, though, because that can't touch any even digit. So that would be a 1 or a 5, wouldn't it? Which would make a pair with this one. No, it's not in the same row as this. I was looking at that square and getting very confused. No, I'm talking total and utter rubbish. This square would be a 1 or a 5, but this one doesn't see it. It'd probably be that digit. All right, so we'd have to put the 3 here. So this square would be 1 or 5. This one here. And that's fine, isn't it? So this would be an 8-7 at the top of the grid as a sort of standalone thingy thing. But there is an 8-7 thermo to be found. So that's not outrageous. That is not outrageous, unfortunately. And I think it's easier. If we get a checkerboarding, then this can start extending down here. Bobbins McBobbins face. Okay. That's complicated. Alright, let's try. Do we know anything about this down here? We know this has got an even 6 or 8 in it. Ooh. Well, an even 8 looks very difficult. Well, I say that, but maybe that's not right. It would change the nature of this one, wouldn't it? If this was 8 down here, it would have to connect to 7 because it has to connect to an odd digit. But then we couldn't go any further than that because none of those can be. Well, they're all odd, and they're not the right number. So we go 8, 7, and that would be that. But then that couldn't be 8, 7. So that would force the checkerboarding up here. But that puts us in a position where we know this probably is less under pressure than it was before. Now, what about if this has got 6 in it? 6 is a more difficult digit to put in this puzzle because 6 has to connect on both sides. So if you did put 6 down here, then that would be forced to be 5, actually, wouldn't it? Because we'd have to get the 6 out by a connection to one of these 3 odds, and it would have to be that one. And that would make this a 5. That would force this to do all sorts of things. Let me just mull that over for a moment. So if there is a 6 down here, everything gets forced. 7, 6, 5 is totally forced. That becomes 5. That becomes 4, and that becomes 2. And what does that mean? Is this broken? This is a 1-3 pair. That's a 2. That's a 2. That's a 4. That's 2. This is 8. Okay, so that's interesting. If this is 8, that's 8. 7. This is 8. This becomes 1, 4, 6. But we know there must be a 1 in 1. Ooh. Wow. Okay, that's huge. So what this does is very interesting up here, because this is one of each, remember, by parity along the row. But the only digits we'd have left. Actually, let me just sketch this out. I mean, this is something I've seen in my head, so I don't think we're quite on the road to bifurcation yet. But this becomes an 8. Now these squares are one of each parity, but the only odd digit we've got left to put in here is 1. And therefore, the only even digit we've got left to put in here is 4 or 6. Now 4 or 6 are difficult digits to place from an even perspective because they have to connect on both sides. So how are we going to make that work? because 4 and 6 do not connect to 1. So we can't avail ourselves of the 1. So if it went this way round, if we put the 1 here and we made this a 4 or a 6, what could you connect it to on both sides? You couldn't. So this would have to be the 1. And this has to be a 4 or a 6, and it can't connect to 1, so it has to connect to 7. So it actually goes 7, 6, 5 by absolute force. And now that square would be a 4, and that square would be a 4. The funny thing is, I think I could almost finish the puzzle from here very quickly. 765 is not a 765 is not a thermo I'm allowed to have. So this has got to have a 4, which has got to go there. That's probably been available from other means, but that's just something I noticed. 7654 is not a thermo, I see, but that's going to connect to, well, it's possible that connects to the 1, 2, 3 that we're going to have in those squares. This is an 8. What's this digit? This is 4. This is 4. That's 4 by Sudoku. I'm going to put that in. This is probably right, is what I'm now thinking. Look, look, look. We get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thermo, which is one of the thermos we need. Now, actually, we need other thermos that are very lengthy as well. But it's quite interesting that that one exists in the grid at this point and it isn't broken. That's 4, that's 2, that's 6, that's 8, that's 6. The 6 is an interesting. Oh, actually, that is interesting. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Let me just think about this. Come on, brain. Just go through whatever it was you just did. Do it again. Oh, I've lost my train of thought. No, I'm not. I haven't. I'm not going to lose it. Come on. Use your brain. Silly man. Okay, I'll tell you the thought process I'm going through now. And my thought process is around the rectangle. And the fact is, I've got to put a 6 in that rectangle. And I've got to put it somewhere where it can connect to a 5 that is not this 5. Now, the interesting thing about this situation is in my head, as I've been going through it, I think that square is a 6. And if that's true, then the 6 in this box is in one of those 3 positions. And none of those positions can get to a 5. They can't get to a 5 in the revolver because the 5 in the revolver is there. Yet the 6, remember, it must connect on both sides. So if this is a 6, now how did I get that to being a 6? The reason I got that to being a 6 is I know this is a 4. So I know this is a 2-4 pair. So this is a 6-8 pair. So this isn't a 6. So in the bottom row, this isn't a 6, this isn't a 6. Now I think that's a 6, very simply. So this isn't a 6. So the only place for 6 in the bottom row is there, and the puzzle is broken. So it's visualizable from this position. The question, though, is whether it was visualizable from a bit further back, and we could claim it wasn't bifurcation, which it was a bit, wasn't it? Let me just unwind. Where did we get? So we started this off by thinking about the fact that the 6 here causes a 6-7-5 combination, which automatically, I mean, it is sort of visualizable. I mean, it's not easy to visualize, but it is sort of visualizable, because at that point when you go 7-6-5, this becomes 6. And you work out that you can't. You need the 6 here to be here, which forces this not to be 6. And once that happens, this is the 6. And once that happens, the 6 in this box is very limited, and you can't use the 5. You must have to attach to the 6 that goes there. I mean, that's horrifically complicated. That is horrifically complicated. But it is now 9:15, and I did find it, and I do think it was logical. And do I think if I sit here and stare at this, I'm going to come up with anything much better than that? It's risky. How useful is it if we know that it is useful, actually. It is useful. It's incredibly useful. If you know this isn't 7-6-5, it's got to be 8-7. And that's going to fix everything. Also means that can't be 8-7. Yeah, I'm going to use it. I'm slightly embarrassed in case Nahileon has something. Well, Nahileon probably has something more. Probably has something cleaner in mind. Could I have visualized all of that without penciling it in? I mean, I could have done. Would I have done? I'm not sure. I mean, the fact is, if I wasn't solving on camera, I would have put the digits in to trace it out. And that's actually what I sort of did. But then I did spot it before we got to that point. I don't know. Maybe the comments will tell me whether I'm justified in using that or not. But if it gets me through the puzzle, and at this point I'm desperate for this to become a video, because I want to. The first bit is so amazing. Wouldn't it be sad if I couldn't do it? And the alternative is I sit here for another X number of minutes, and I might not even find anything better. Oh, I'm torn. I think I'm going to use it. Now, on that basis, so I've shown that this cannot be 7-6-5, and yet there must be an 8 or a 7, an 8. So it can't be 7-6-5. So there must be an 8 down here. Now, if there's an 8 down here, it must connect to a 7. Now, I'm not saying we know the order of that, but we do now know that G becomes 6, which means that F becomes 8. Now this 6 the 6 is very interesting in this puzzle, because that obviously has to connect to something else. So that's got to connect to 5 here, which means that is an odd digit. Now 7-6-5 OSC, then that's going to connect here. Oh no, maybe it's not actually, because that becomes a 1 now. So that becomes a 3, and that becomes a 5, and that becomes a 4. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, so that fixes this thermo. So C and B, hang on, let me just unwind. So B is 4, so that becomes 4, that becomes 4, that becomes 4. Okay, so here, what do we need? We need 2 and 8 into these squares. Well, that seems it seems impossible to me for this to be a 2. Because it would have to connect on 2 sides to odd digits, and 2 does not connect to 5 or 7. So that's 8, and that's 2, which means these two squares are now 6 and 8 by the power of Doku. That's a 2 by the power of red. Let's get rid of the red so we don't pollute anything. These two, that square is definitely even. The 8 must always connect to a 7, and it can't connect to a 7 there. So here we've got a thermo we need to extend, because this was the 8765 thermo, and that cannot be the same again. But look, it can just do that very naturally and become an 87654321 thermo, which is probably what it does. Right, but what else can we do with this? Right, we can keep going, because we have got a 1 at the bottom of the grid now. Now we also, the corners are a 3-5 pair. I'm just going to delete all of that because they are a 3-5 pair, because the corners are the things that we've got 3 and 5 here and 3 and 5 in there, so this cannot include 5. So this is 1, 7. This is 3, 5. That's D. The problem is I can't remember what D was. Which digit was D? Was it that one? No. Was it that one? Yes. Okay, so that's a 1. Okay, so by whatever logic we did earlier, that's a 1. So this is 3 or 5. Okay. Well, that's... Oh, this 5 here gives me a 1 here. And that gives me a 3 there, look. So now these... Oh, there's a 2 in this column, and that's a 6. So over here we must have 4 and 2. And here we must have 6 and 8. Oh, bobbins. Okay. Oh, look. I can connect this up, because there is no such thermo in this puzzle as 1, 2, 3, 4. So there must be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least for this thermo, and you can't get a 5 here because of that. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thermo, which I'm mildly pleased about. And now the... so now... Oh, hang on. So now we know the single cell thermo is a 5. Don't we? Because there are 2 5s in the corner, which means there are 6 5s in the middle of the puzzle. Now let me just double check this. So we've got 87654321, 876543, 8765. That's 3. I need 3 more. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we know there's a 1, 2, 3 thermo because of my idiocy. So there is a 1 cell thermo that's a 5. It's probably one of those. Oh, in fact, look, that is a 5 by Sudoku. Oh, and if... Hang on. If that's true... Oh, yeah, okay. So this is 3, and this is 5. That's been available forever. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. That's a 7. This is a 1. Okay, so... Oh, look, this is... This... Yeah. There's no thermo, is there? No. There's no thermo that is 5 and goes higher. There's a thermo that's 5 and goes lower. So there's a 5 connecting to a 4 on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thermo. But the 8765 thermo's gone already, so we can't... So this is the single cell thermo. That is it there. I don't know how to show that. I'll put a green blob in it. There we go. Okay, I mean, I know those two connect to each other. Don't know the order, but I know that's an 8-7 thermo. So I've almost... Oh, hang on. Is this... Yes, okay. I just deduced by mad logic that this was an 8, and I've just seen by Sudoku I could just write the 8 in. That's classic me, isn't it? There's an 8 in one of these two squares. Now that 8 must connect to a 7. Don't know where that goes. Right. This 1 is not... Yeah, this 1 is not a standalone digit, is it? Because it's the 5 that's a standalone digit. So the 1 must connect to a 2, and it doesn't connect to a 2 there. So that gives us a 2 here, which is an even digit, which means we can clear up the 2 and the 4 on this side of the grid. Now 4 in the pistol looks like it goes there. Now that's beautiful. Well, is it though? It nearly might be. 4 does connect to 3 and 5. And where does it get its 3 from? There. Now, there's no thermo that's... Oh, I've broken it. No, I haven't, because I was going to say there's no thermo that starts with a 3, but there is. There's the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thermo. So that must be this one, because you can't connect a 2 to this. So that means I need to put a 5 next to this, which seems to have to go there by the power of Doku again. So that's a 5. Let's extend the thermo again. Now that's going to have to keep going, because that's going to have to find a 6. It's got to go all the way to 8, this one. But we don't seem to know, or at least I don't seem to know, which one of these it takes. And in fact, look, we've got a 6, 7 pair there. So whichever one of these is 6, it connects on 2 sides. Where does this 2 connect to? Oh, where does this 1 connect to? Yeah, that 1's got to go up. It's got to connect to the 2, because there's no such thing as a 1-cell thermo that's got a 1 on it. Now this 2 needs to connect on 2 sides, and it can't connect to a 6 or a 7, and it can't connect to a 5. So there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6, 7 here. Although this 3, 4, 5 could go 6, 7 as well. We don't know. All right, I think I've just got to carry on doing Sudoku. I know it's absolutely outrageous to make such claims, but 3, 6, 7 into this. The 3 in this one goes here. So this is a 6, 7 pair, which is like that. So we've got 2 6, 7 pairs now. 3 is a funny old digit. It's odd. The 2... no, the 2 is fine, isn't it? The 2 could connect to the... Well, the 1 and the 2 must connect. And then the 2 can connect to a 3 only there, which it must do. There is a 1, 2, 3 thermo somewhere, which could be that, rather annoyingly. In fact, probably it is that, because we can't go to 4 there. So that is a thermo. That is a self-contained thermo. So that's the 1, 2, 3 thermo. Where, look, 2 goes there, 1 goes there, 1, 7, 7, 6, 6, 8, oh, come on, 3, 4, 5, that's 5, we've done it, I've done the puzzle. Well, I haven't done the puzzle, what I mean is I've done the Sudoku, I've actually done it. All I've got to do is work out the thermos, which is incredibly exciting. So they're all even, these are all odd. I've got a deadly pattern at the bottom. Okay, but what can we say? 8 we know attaches to 7 at all times, so that goes that way. There is an 8, 7 thermo, that's here, so there's that, we've used that, so we need to get to a 6. The 6 must connect to a 5, and it's got options as to how it does that. The 4 must connect on 2 sides, so that's got to connect those into those cells. There is no such thing as a 5, 4, 3 thermo in this puzzle, so that must go to the 2, which must go to the 1, but we don't know whether this extends or not. Yes, we do, because this thermo is now fixed. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thermo, and that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thermo, but this one can't go any further, so that's got to stop. So this one must carry on. But it can carry on. Well, it can carry on there, but that's going to make it into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thermo. But I've already had that up there, so that doesn't work, so it's got to turn down, and that's going to do the deadly pattern. And now this 3, 4, 5 thermo can't connect there, or this cell's isolated, so it goes up to create the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thermo. That is therefore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thermo. I think this is it. I think we go 6 here, 7 here, 7 here, 8 here, 8 here, 6 here, and we click on these to make them even. We click on these to make them odd, and all I've got to do, I say all I've got to do is check that I've got one of every type of thermo I think I'm meant to have. And we might have done this. So let's do the 8s first. We know there's an 8-7, that's there. There should be an 8-7-6-5, that's there. There should be an 8-7-6-5-4-3, which I think is this one. 8-7-6-5-4-3. And there should be an 8 down to 1, which is this one. So we've got the even ending thermos. Now the odd ending thermos are a 5, we know that, because there are 2 5s in the corners. And there's a 1 to 7 thermo, which is this one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a 1 to 5 thermo, which is this one. And there's a 1 to 3 thermo, which is that one. That is right. I'm sure it's right. Yes. 17 people have solved that. How? I mean, that's monstrous. That's taken me nearly 2 hours. And that's a fantastic puzzle, isn't it? That is a fantastic puzzle. I mean, it's one of the hardest puzzles I think I've ever managed to solve on the channel. Because it's crazy. I mean, it's lovely the way you can do these meta deductions at the start, but it's terrifying the way you do all the meta deductions and then you still can't understand how to start the puzzle. The actual irregular Sudoku part is difficult, and I'm so relieved to have solved that. I really am. That is sort of a sense of mild euphoria. I'm going to be fascinated to read the comments on this one and find out, have I been, I know I was particularly stupid with the thoughts on the 2s. Maybe there have been other moments where I could have got this done more quickly. I don't know, but I'm just relieved to have done it, frankly. It's a masterpiece, Nahileon, again. And if you're still with me, thank you so much for watching and spending your Friday evening with me. Wow. We'll be back later on with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.